What is going on, guys? Matt Downs with Daily Grind Fantasy Sports to help give you the edge for this NBA 8-game slate on DraftKings. Cannot wait to break it down. If you guys are brand new to this channel, we provide both free and paid content for all daily fantasy sports across all sports. If you could please show your support by hitting that subscribe button, notification bell, and of course smashing that like button for all of our future NBA content. If you would like to know more about becoming a better DFS player and taking down that big GPP, head over to www.patreon.com/DGFantasy for more information. On Patreon, we give advanced cheat sheets for all DFS sports on DraftKings. These cheat sheets include updated projections, ownership, and our overall favorite plays from slate to slate. We take it a step further by teaching you how to play fantasy sports like a shark, by showing you where the best leverage spots are to put you in the best spots to take down tourneys. Also included is our private Discord chat where you get to talk over the slate with everyone, including our coaches, to help build your lineups. And now let's go ahead and dive right into this NBA 8-game slate. But first, you guys know we have to go over some Patreon success. And speaking of Patreon, our Patreon subscriptions all restart tomorrow. So if you guys haven't signed up for Patreon, tomorrow is literally the best time to do it because you get your full value of what everything that has to offer here on Patreon. $20 a month gives you access to all of our leverage sheets, all of our cash plays, all of our favorite GPP plays for every single major sport. And every single smaller sport, we cover League of Legends, we cover CSGO, and we even cover Call of Duty. So everything on Patreon, again, $20 a month gives you access to all that and so much more. And as of yesterday, we even added prize picks projections where it gives you the percentage chance that a certain player hits the over on their fantasy projection or their under. So that was just added yesterday. And of course, on top of all of our SuperDraft projections, taking a look here at this almost takedown, got fourth place. I don't know how big this contest was, but this person split first here, $4,666.67, was just off of that. And we even had some more SuperDraft success here. I believe this guy plays in the quarter contest. So he ended up winning $128.75. I'm assuming he threw less than $5 down on that GPP. And then we had a huge winner. We have a high roller here. $756 turned into $1,508 on DraftKings. Congrats to that member right there. And then we also had a second place finish. Wow, that's a really good NHL lineup. A lot of fire there. And I can keep scrolling, guys. This was mine from yesterday. But nonetheless, a lot of Patreon success every single day and a thriving, overwhelming community just willing to help everybody out. And that's the one thing we have to offer here on Patreon. All right, focusing on this NBA slate. It's going to be a messy one. I'm not going to beat around the bush. And we're going to assume a lot of things on this NBA slate. One is that Giannis does not play. He sprained his ankle in the first quarter of the game last night and did not play the entire rest of the game. Going on a back-to-back versus a not so good opponent here. Versus Chicago Bulls, I'm going to assume that he's not going to play tonight. Okay, we're going to use that assumption because, guys, gun to my head, I'm gonna say he's not gonna play tonight. No shot he plays tonight. And then going over to the Brooklyn Nets here, Kevin Durant probably isn't gonna play on this back-to-back, assuming that Kyrie Irving does play. Another assumption. Right now, Fantasy Cruncher has him projected less than 10 minutes. That's usually not a good sign that Kevin Durant is going to play. So we're gonna use those two assumptions to assume the chalk plays for tonight, starting out with Brooklyn. There's gonna be so much value there, but let's go over the entire injury report, see if there's any other noteworthy injury items here on this report. Taking a look at Atlanta here, we have Bogdanovic, Capella, Trae Young questionable. They were not playing in the last game, so they are technically questionable. If they are held out again, yes, there's going to be some additional value here on the slate. Herter, Hunter, and Reddish are officially out. With Philadelphia, nothing going on there. San Antonio, nothing really going on. Trey Lyles has been out for a while. Versus Boston, Kemba Walker is out. There is some value there, but not as much as these other chalk teams. With Washington, nothing going on there. Cleveland, Sexton is questionable. If he is going to play, then yeah, I'm totally off of Cleveland. If he is held up, then yeah, some additional value there. We love targeting teams here versus the Washington Wizards. And then the fireworks game here, a 241 over under. And then, like I said, so much value here in Brooklyn if Kevin Durant does not play. Starting on the Portland side, however, Zach Collins is out. Nothing really going on there. Zach Collins has been out for a very long time, and now that Damian Lillard is back, just really nothing to look at as a whole there. With Brooklyn, Chioza, Harden, and we're going to assume that Kevin Durant is out. Going over to Orlando, Terrence Ross, Michael Carter-Williams, Akiki, and Otto Porter are out for these guys. So yeah, some additional value there. And then with Memphis, we have Jaren Jackson out for them. And then Milwaukee, like I said, Giannis is probably going to sit tonight. So ton of value there in Milwaukee. With Chicago, we have Troy Brown, Zach LaVine out. Nothing really going on there because they've been out for a very long time. Taking a look at Utah, Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley are out again. And then you can even add Royce O'Neal to that injury report. He is questionable. If he is held out, that's a ton of minutes to go around this picture. Taking a look at Phoenix here, we have Nather and Crowder. Crowder is questionable. It was Sacramento. We have the normal injury report there. Harrison Barnes, De'Aaron Fox, and Woodard officially out for them. This is going to be a pace down spot versus the Lakers, so not too much interest there, but we know that Harrison Barnes plays a tremendous amount of minutes, some of the most minutes in the entire NBA, next to somebody like Julius Randle. Last but not least, we have Dudley and James officially out. And they've been out for a while, so nothing really going on there in Laker land. All right, let's start out with talking about Brooklyn. What happens when you take Kevin Durant, Chioza, LeVert, because he doesn't play for the team anymore, and James Harden off the court here? Kyrie Irving, 1.53 fantasy points per minute, a 34.6% usage rate. Lock him in. Highest over under. He's going to be having the ball the entire game, assuming that Kevin Durant is out. Nobody really to share the ball with other than like Blake Griffin, and they're not even going to be playing in the same rotation, assuming that Blake Griffin does not start. There is a possibility he could start, but Blake Griffin probably not going to start in this contest. Taking a look down the list, I mean, we can pretty much give a bump to every single person on this court. Landry Shamet actually gets a nice little boost here, 0.09 fantasy points per minute. Jeff Green gets 0.04 fantasy points per minute and a 3.2% usage rate boost. Blake Griffin, like we already talked about. Tyler Johnson, 1.8% usage rate, and we can expect that from somebody who has such a high usage rate in Kevin Durant, just usage across the board. When we convert that over to the price tags and we take a look at the roster, point per dollar value wise, let's take a look here. Alize Johnson is $3,000 and he's projected about 22 to 25 minutes. I don't care if he plays less than 30 minutes. If he plays more than 20, he's going to be a lock for me. Just averaging 1.22 fantasy points a minute. He's been on fire even when he's been getting these short stints. If we take a look at his game log, he played 32 minutes last game, and yeah, he did something pretty good there, scoring 56.25 points. And anytime he gets over 20 minutes, 18.2 with a hit value in that game, 17 minutes there, 22.25 points. He played 33 here and scored 51. Like, I can keep scrolling down to convince you guys that Alize Johnson is a very efficient player when he's on the court, just very involved in the offense, and he's projected right now 22 to 25 minutes. Lock and load him. He's going to be one of the chalkier players on the night. Taking a look down the list here, we have Landry Shamet, we already talked about here. 3.9K projected 26 minutes, comes out to a 5.7 point per dollar value. Nothing special there, just because he's not the best fantasy point per minute player. But I am a fan of him, probably more so in GPPs than cash. But Kyrie Irving's going to be the guy to lock in tonight. Price decrease is coming down here. We're used to seeing him about 10 plus K with both Kevin Durant and James Harden off the court. Keep in mind, this is a pace-up spot. He came down in price, so all the chalk is going to be on him. Right now, he's showing 37% ownership. I completely agree with that. And then somebody who's kind of flying under the radar for me is Jeff Green, but the public seems to be on him. Based on what he did last night, he actually had a very, very good game, 4.8K. When these guys are decimated in terms of injuries, Jeff Green seems to always stand out, averaging only 0.81 fantasy points per minute, though, with these guys off the court. I'm not thrilled about Jeff Green, but I don't mind him. 4.8K. I have a lot more interest in these guys that are bottom of the barrel price tags, guys like Alize Johnson, Claxton, Shamet, and I do like Kyrie Irving more than Jeff Green, but I don't mind Jeff Green. Don't shoot me, guys. I don't mind Jeff Green. He's going to be a decent play, just not as good of a play as some of these other guys here on the court. Going down the list here, we're going to take a look at Milwaukee without Giannis. Yes, I almost laughed out loud because Giannis, he was in my GPP lineups last night. I was overexposed to Giannis, and he got hurt in the very first quarter. So it hurt me, but hopefully it didn't hurt you guys. I faded the chalk because that's generally what I do to take down GPPs. But let's focus here. We got Chris Middleton at 1.31 fantasy points per minute, 31.7% usage rate. We also have Drew Holiday. They're literally the exact same person. Chris Middleton has a little bit more of a usage rate, but Drew Holiday's averaging the exact same fantasy points per minute, 1.31 fantasy points per minute. So you guys can throw both of these guys in the same category. I think they're both identical plays. When we talk about a value play here, Pat Connaughton stands out the most to me. We're going to be expecting him playing about 25 to 28 minutes. If we project him for about 28 minutes, he's posted right now for 22.24 points and a 6.2 point per dollar value. I also am a fan of DiVincenzo, averaging 0.99 fantasy points per minute in 27 minutes. He's coming out to a 6 on the dot point per dollar value. Don't mind him. Drew Holiday, 34 projected minutes right now, a 5.7 point per dollar value, and then also Chris Middleton at a 7.9K price tag. Like I said, they're the exact same price tag now, and they also average the exact same fantasy points per minute. So take a stab at both of them. I think they're both going to be higher owned. And then Bobby Portis, right now, this is under the assumption that Giannis is playing for whatever reason. He's projected right now for 22 minutes. I don't get that. But if Giannis is held out, then Bobby Portis is going to be projected about 25 to 28 minutes. Same thing as Pat Connaughton. And he's also averaging 1.19 fantasy points per minute without Giannis on the court. So love him. Those guys are going to be chalky. It's literally going to be the Brooklyn Nets and also Milwaukee as far as chalk goes tonight, assuming there's no other injuries on the court. But let's talk about some one-offs here. Memphis has everybody back, but there is one guy I want to talk about that just looks mispriced. Melton at 3.9K. He's actually showing very high ownership, a 6.8 point per dollar value. He averages over a fantasy point per minute, 1.1 fantasy points per minute. Just a very efficient guy here. All these guys are mispriced on Memphis just because they're now coming back off an injury, and they're expected to play a decent amount of minutes. Desmond Bane at 3.2K, showing 16% ownership, a 6.2 point per dollar value. Justice Winslow also projected about 21 minutes, a 5.8 point per dollar value. Like I said, all these guys are just coming back from injury, so DraftKings is pricing them at the minimum barrel price tag. I don't see as much upside, but I don't mind these guys as last pieces in cash lineups, and I consider them more of a GPP option going forward here throughout the slate. And then last but not least, we have to talk about Utah, because Utah is also without Mike Conley and Donovan Mitchell. We go down here, it's not the best matchup for them going against the Phoenix Suns. A very low over-under, a 218.5 over-under. But these guys benefit drastically with the usage rate. I like Niang. Niang shows 22 minutes and a 5.9 point per dollar value, averaging over a fantasy point per minute. Very efficient when he's on the court. A 3.4K price tag. Definitely don't mind him. Royce O'Neal, if he plays, he is questionable technically. If he is ruled out, there's going to be so much more value that opens up throughout this team, and I expect guys like Bogdanovich to eat the minutes there, Clarkson to play a tremendous amount of minutes, and those guys will definitely be more on the chalkier side if that does happen. Joe Ingles, a 7K price tag. I don't mind him. 5.3 point per dollar value. Same thing with Bogdanovich, 6.3K. These guys are generally overpriced, which makes them more of a GPP option. I don't mind them for GPPs. But again, for cash plays, I'm definitely going to avoid these guys. But definitely, these guys are all going to be carrying lower ownership, assuming that Royce O'Neal does not get ruled out. If he does, then yes, these guys are going to be more on the chalky side. And that will really wrap up my my plays on DraftKings. We're going to go over my Prize Picks board. And if you guys haven't signed up for Prize Picks, first of all, what are you doing? And we have a free promo for you guys just for watching this video. Enter code DGF on Prize Picks for a 100% match up to $100. That's $100 free to just go in and test out Prize Picks, even if you're hesitant to do it. $100 free just for signing up and playing code DGF. All right, guys, but here on the board, all these Utah guys are underpriced right now. Their fantasy scores are a little on the bearish side, 34, 32 for Joe Ingles and 28 for Bogdanovich. I think if Royce O'Neal is ruled out, and that is a real possibility for that, I think all these fantasy scores go up. So right now, I would lock these guys in. I'm just on these overs in general, and with the expectation that Royce O'Neal does not play, I'm even more bullish on these overs. So I definitely like Bogdanovich the most at 28. I would lock him in, pair him with somebody like Joe Ingles and Clarkson, and I think all these guys hit the over, assuming that Royce O'Neal does not play. And I still like these projections right now, assuming he does play. So that being said, guys, that will wrap up my content. Hopefully you did enjoy the content. If you did, please do hit that subscription button, notification bell, and of course, smash that like button for all of our future NBA content. With all that being said, have a great rest of your day, and let's cash.